Hello and welcome to this new podcast we got going here, rolling with my special friends. Today I want to introduce you to a really cool guy that most of you just got to know, and you got to be able to hear his story because he's got some amazing things going on in his life. What I want to do is introduce you to a gentleman named Norwood and be able to tell you just exactly what he's doing to change a lot of people's lives along his journey in life, and tell you about Hunter's got a growing business. He's got a great book coming out. He's a member of a great basketball team, and there's so much more going on. So instead of me trying to tell you the story, I want you to hear it from him and from his mother and know some of the great things they got going on. So Hunter, how are you today, buddy?
Good.
Good. Well, that's great to hear. Can you tell everybody out there listening what's one of your favorite things to do?
This is my favorite things about.
What are they? Name some of the things that you enjoy doing.
Okay, so I'm doing.
What about sports?
About sports
And watching the weather?
and watching the weather.
You want to tell a little bit about that?
Let me do watching some weather.
He does. He enjoys watching the weather, following all kinds of weather patterns across America. He's even been on a few newscasts with some meteorologists.
Holy moly. That's pretty cool stuff. So you enjoy watching the storms that are about to come toward our direction, huh?
I close it comes to the hurricanes that does the rainfall.
Will you call us and let us all know then if that hurricane gets close?
The closest is the double storm walls.
Oh, okay. So we're just going to have a thunderstorm watch?
Okay.
Double storm walls.
Okay, tropical storm watch.
I got you. All right. Well,
I got you. All right. Well, since you've told us a little bit about the weather, let's try to slide into something else here and tell us what your favorite foods are to eat, Hunter.
My favorite food.
Yeah.
About the chicken nachos.
Chicken nachos from the Mexican restaurant, right?
Right.
chicken.
Chicken nachos. Now, does this got cheese and everything all over it too?
Everything else.
Oh, wow. Now you're making me want to go eat some Mexican food. That's pretty good there. Now, tell people that are listening too, I hear you're into some video games. What's your favorite video game?
My favorite video game.
Mm-hmm.
Minecraft.
Well, that's pretty cool. Now, are you good at it?
I do. I play all the video game.
So, do you do real good at Minecraft though?
I do.
That's pretty cool. You're gonna teach all of us how to play it one day, because I don't know a lot about the Minecraft. I know some about the sports games. You know, the Madden football and basketball. You ever played Madden football?
I do. I play all of them.
Oh, well, that's pretty good.
A big selection of games, don't you, man?
Yep.
That's pretty cool. So since we're talking about games and sports games, I hear you've got some favorite sports teams. Can you tell us who your favorite sports teams are?
Oh, the sports team.
Yep. Your favorite sports team.
Auburn.
Okay, Auburn, and who else?
EFE.
Okay.
Who else?
Alabama.
Alabama and Auburn?
Think about the E.
Auburn, UAB, and Alabama. He likes them all.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
the Louisiana.
And he cheers for Louisiana.
You've got a heck of a mixture there. Now, what makes a boy from Alabama cheer for Louisiana?
I tell you the all of them.
He's chosen all of them. I think he has a friend who pulls for LSU, and that sort of helped Hunter along too.
Okay, that's what I knew. There's got to be somebody there getting you excited about cheering for LSU and those Bengal Tigers.
Yes, and it doesn't hurt that they are the same color as his alma mater.
Alabama.
Wow.
Well, that's pretty neat there. Now, you don't hear somebody every day that cheers for Auburn, Alabama, and LSU. That's a pretty good mixture. So tell me, Hunter, I hear, everybody wants to know about this business you got going. Tell us about the ice cream truck. What's the flavors on the truck? What's your favorite ones to eat?
My favorite song, the butter silver oil.
The Chips Galore favorite.
Okay, now for those of us out here listening that don't know what did you say, Chips Ahoy?
I did.
Okay, so describe us to us. Is it an ice cream sandwich? Is it on a popsicle? Tell us about it.
The butter, all of them.
So tell him it has 2 chocolate chip cookies. And we have vanilla ice cream with chocolate chips between the 2 cookies. It's wonderful.
That's pretty cool sounding right there. Now, do you have any other ones that are your favorites that some of us would get excited about?
That one?
Yeah, what are some other ice cream flavors that you like?
Ice cream flavors, but the ice cream lemonade.
Oh, yes, he loves the lemonade, the frozen lemonade.
Uh-oh. Now, see, I didn't know anything about that. So what is it, in a little small cup and you have to scoop it out? Is that right? Is that how you do it? Do we get a spoon and scoop it out, or can we drink it, or how we do it?
The 2 both.
Yeah, so you eat it with a spoon, and sorry, the connection broke up, so we didn't hear for a minute, but tell him, so you eat it with a spoon. He said you do both. If it takes you long enough, it melts, and then you can drink it, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's pretty neat there now. So we got Chips Ahoy and lemonade, and is anything else out there you can tell us that you really enjoy eating on that ice cream truck?
Tell him about some of the other flavors that you like.
The wrappers.
Mm-hmm. Tell him. Just name 2. He likes them all, just so
Yeah.
you know.
The all of them I like.
Yeah, so name 2 others that are really good.
But bump up.
The Bomb Pops, they are really good. What about one more?
Watermelon bump up.
Watermelon Bomb Pop. Name something chocolate that's really good.
But the first bar, top bar.
Yeah, the Fudge Bar and the Star Bar, they're super good.
Yeah, it sounds like you got a very good selection there. If we were a person coming to wanting to buy on your truck, how many flavors do we have? Like how many varieties?
The
Tell him.
22 ice cream.
22. You have it right.
But the
22.
buzzing ice cream.
22 flavors.
The buzzing ice cream.
Yeah, he would like for us to have 1,000. Maybe someday. Today, it's 22.
Wow, that's pretty neat. 22. If I can't come to an ice cream truck and find something in 22 flavors, I'm at the wrong place.
That's right.
So Hunter, I'm gonna ask you a question now, and you can get Mom to help you too. If you could have anything that you wanted, like I don't know, we're gonna say cars or balls or basketball or baseball or a new bow and arrow. What is one thing, if Hunter could have anything he wants? What does Hunter want?
Oh, the hot day and fishing.
Oh, if you could have anything, you'd want to go hunting and fishing?
Yes.
Wow. Now, yeah, you sound like my kind of guy. So now that we've answered that question, that you would want to go hunting and fishing, if you could go anywhere you want to go in the whole world to go hunting, where would you go?
Kentucky.
Kentucky? That would be pretty cool. Now, why did you choose there?
I choose every particular place.
So did you see that on a hunting show?
Yep.
Yes.
That's pretty neat. There's a lot of great deer hunting and bird hunting, turkeys and stuff like that in Kentucky.
Rail hunt. Crossbow.
He wants to hunt with a crossbow, he said.
A crossbow in Kentucky. So that would be your dream hunt.
Yep. I choose them all of them.
Yeah.
But all the guns, all the bows, all crossbows.
Yes. He would like to hunt with any kind of gun or a crossbow and hunt anywhere. Is that what you said?
Okay. Well, we're gonna put that challenge out there for anybody listening to this podcast that's enjoying what you're hearing from Mr. Hunter. Let us know. Reach out to us on the podcast and see if we can get him on a hunt in Kentucky, because I think he would really enjoy going to do something like that. Would that be pretty cool, Hunter, if you got to go to Kentucky?
Yes, I do.
Yes, it would be, wouldn't it?
All right, Hunter. I got one last question for you before we let you go and talk to Mom a little bit. Tell us. I know you've been on a billboard. Was it in New York, like Times Square? I've heard you've been on some magazines lately, some TV shows, all these different things about your ice cream truck. What does it feel like to have all these people wanting to talk to Hunter?
Oh yeah, that's of my favorite things about YouTubers.
Oh, he's hoping some YouTubers want to talk to him. He's been pretty humble through it all. I think his mama has gotten a whole lot more excited about it maybe than even he has.
Well, it's pretty special to of all the things you got going on with the different newspaper articles, internet articles, New York. I mean, I can't think of very many people at all that's been on New York Times Square down there on the billboard. That's pretty neat in itself. So I just think it's an amazing thing you got going on, Hunter, and I appreciate the time for you letting me talk to you. Now I'm gonna spend a little time and talk to Mom and ask her some questions. Is that okay?
That's okay.
All right. Well, we will talk to you in a little while.
He's a dandy.
Yeah, he's something special. Now, what we really want to dive into this conversation a little bit deeper, so that there's a lot of families and interested people out there wanting to know Hunter's story. Obviously, they could hear there's a little something different about Hunter as he talked and as he explained his life. And I want his mom to dive into it and tell us the rest of that. So teach us who Hunter is that those people out there listening don't know about him. Tell us, what he's got going on.
So Hunter is our amazing 19-year-old son. He was born with Down syndrome. And what that means is he has an extra copy of his 21st chromosome. I know there are a lot of people who have graced this earth with Down syndrome. And so having raised Hunter and being his mother, it has absolutely been such a joy. And it's also had its challenges. But overall, I'm telling you what, we wouldn't take anything for this amazing journey.
Oh, I'm sure you wouldn't, and it's amazing that had the opportunity to be around a lot of special children and adults in my days, and he's one of them that ranks right up there with some of the most amazing that I've ever met. What was it like to tell our listeners out there? What was it like when the doctor, came in and told you guys there was an opportunity or a chance that you might have a special child? What is that feeling when you go through your head? When you hear that?
Well, I will tell you that we did not get a prenatal diagnosis with Hunter, but my mom, to intuition, did, in fact, have me focusing on Down syndrome a whole lot. Everywhere I looked, I felt like I saw someone who had Down syndrome, and I found myself praying often, Lord, please don't let this be. As soon as Hunter was born, the first question I asked was, does he have Down syndrome? And a year before Hunter was born, I had given birth to our second daughter, and she was born with a heart defect, and we lost her when she was 6 days old. And so the first thing my husband said was, no, he doesn't. He's perfect. And I said, I know he's perfect, but does he have Down syndrome? And of course, everyone just thought that I feared that because of the fear that we had gone through just a short year earlier, which I will tell you, I do believe that's why I had the intuition. And I also believe that's why it was never detected early, because I would have feared far more that before he was born than I would have actually looking at him. And it was several hours after he was born that the doctors did confirm that he, in fact, had Down syndrome. Now, they told us he had something wrong with his heart also. And thankfully, that came back to be not the case. He has a perfect heart, and Hunter has been healthy from head to toe his entire life. But upon that diagnosis, we were extremely scared. I worried so much about his health. I worried about our other daughter, Hope, because she had already suffered the loss of a sibling, and now she was the sibling to a child with special needs. And I was concerned about how it was going to change the entire format of our family.
Well, and That's obviously, it would be a concern with everyone when you try to deal with all the emotional, as I call it, roller coasters going on there, and trying to piece everything together. But it's also, I believe, just like you do, that I think that God had a reason and a plan He had put together, for you and your family. One of our questions that I'd like to hear an answer on too. That I know you already said that Hunter was 19 years old. So tell us, the first 10 years of Hunter, from 0 to 10, of being a Down syndrome child, what was it like to raise him from 0 to 10 years old?
So, I'll back up and tell you that when he was born, I truly felt like maybe God was mad at me. We had lost a child, and then our next child was born with what they told us was a disability. But it did not take me long to learn that God was not mad, but God was blessing us with such a great, great blessing. And I do believe that Hunter is completely a kiss from God. So from 0 to 2, Hunter was the most laid back person. He was such a good baby. He slept all night. He was just a dream child. When he hit 2 on his second birthday, he hit those terrible 2s, and he stayed in those terrible 2s for about the next 10 years. he, so Hunter was a live wire, but we later figured out he had so much going on in his head and so much that he wanted to express, but he was verbally delayed, and so he had a very hard time expressing himself, which resulted in sometimes him having a negative behavior. But once he was able to start expressing himself in words and sometimes sign language, and I often laughed and said he was the best at charades of any person in the world, because he could act out anything that he was trying to get us to figure out, and he became very good at that too. But it was full of challenges, not necessarily because of Hunter, but sometimes just looking out at the world and seeing children who were born along the same time as Hunter, meeting milestones that he wasn't. But I will tell you, every milestone that we would see these children meet, Hunter eventually met every one of those also. And because we had to wait for them, they became 10 times sweeter than had he met them on target. So there was a lot of patience involved, but I will tell you that he is so worth it. Absolutely worth it.
So you feel like that, the question there is, from that 0 to 10 years old, you feel like that the milestones, as you say it, as a normal 2-year-old and a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old would have hit, he hit them. He still hit them. He just had a little bit of delay in that process.
He did. He walked at 18 months, which was still early for a child who has the diagnosis of Down syndrome. He actually did not start formulating sentences until he was probably 11 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So there were things, but he had the same desires as every other kid. And so we cued into those very quickly, and he eventually played t-ball, and then we've kept him very involved and tried to keep him on target as much as possible, as much as what he was desiring to do. So yeah, there was a delay, but there were also all those milestones, they were met.
Well, that's pretty cool for parents out there to be able to hear too. I know there's probably, at least in my mind, there'd be a lot of struggles to understanding, okay, I know my child has a little bit of delay, but I also know and have it in my heart that he can be like everybody else. It may just take a little bit longer, or she can get there. We just need to, work with them a little bit more. One of my other questions to go along with that raising of Hunter in that 0 to 10 kind of area, were there any, for parents out there listening that are trying to understand what goes on with a Down syndrome child at a young age, were there any mistakes that you made that you may go back and look at as him growing up and go, boy, I wish I'd have changed this?
Well, I have a lot of mom guilt anyway, and every night I have found that I lay down and kind of go through my whole day to think about what I should have done differently, and not just with Hunter, but with my other typical, if you will, children as well. But early on, when he transitioned from early intervention, which he received therapies through that program up till age 3. And then in order to continue in those therapies, he went into the public school system. And so at that point, we had to have an IEP meeting, or an individualized education plan meeting. And, at that point, I really felt like that I was judged, maybe for his delays, or maybe I should have done more. And so at that point, I promised myself that I was going to do more to stay on top of things. And I did end up going back to school to become a special education teacher. But because of that, and I was in the school system, in the same system that he was in, I feel like I picked a lot of battles and overlooked a lot of battles just because sometimes there was maybe a conflict of interest as far as my career versus being his mother. I always approached his education as mom first. But sometimes I look back at some of the things I wish I would have pushed harder for. But there's probably not a parent out there who doesn't look back and think, maybe I should have ruffled some more feathers, but I will tell you that Hunter has had a wonderful educational experience, and he is very smart. He can read, he can write and do math. And so for that, I am thankful.
Well, and that's, what people out there want to hear and know, that there were, there's a lot of positives, and we're about to talk about some of those, but there's also some of those times in there that are negative, that are challenges. Like you said, maybe there were some windows that you should have pushed open a little harder to kind of get him into areas, and maybe there's things that, you could have drawn back a little bit, and if you had to do it over again, I guess, the way I'm hearing it.
Yes.
All right, so tell us one other thing I want to know about him growing up, that I'm sure a lot of moms and dads and families out there that are, interested in Down syndrome children, is tell us how others have treated Hunter. So say, when Hunter was in school, Hunter's out in society, Hunter's just going to Walmart. What is the response that you see? And then also on the other side of it, what do you think some of the things that the public's missing that maybe they should take more of a chance to get to know?
Okay. So what I have seen more than anything is when I'm with Hunter, I feel like I'm traveling with Elvis. People flock to him. He just draws crowds. So more than any kind of negative reaction, we have always received positive reactions. When he was in school, the kids were just drawn to him, and he was invited to a lot of parties in elementary school, and he was kind of, a big deal in society, out in Walmart or out in public. People, one of the things I have learned through Hunter is there are so many amazing people in this world. People are really drawn to him. Now, one thing that I will say is there are some people who go, "Oh," or "bless his heart." And those are the kind of things that I would like to help redirect and change, because I hope no one is ever sorry for myself or my husband or our family because we have Hunter as an important part of it, because he is an important part of it. And I hope no one is ever sorry for us for that. But I also hope that they're never sorry for Hunter, because one of the things that I feared the most when he was born is that he would not have a life that he enjoyed. And I couldn't have been more wrong, or that couldn't have been further from the truth, because Hunter has an amazing life. And sometimes I'm envious of it. He has his grandparents and me and his dad. We kind of cater to him. He's very independent, but just for some reason, he just has us all wrapped around his finger. And these are the things that I see. Even animals are drawn more to Hunter than they are myself. It just seems like he has the world by the tail.
That's one of the things that I like to tell people as well when I get to be around a lot of these special kids is I really truly believe that we've missed it, and what we call kids with special needs. I think all of us have needs. I think these kids are just what you just said. I think they're special. That's why I call it Rolling with My Special Friends, because he's just truly special. He's one of those kids, like you said, that if you meet Hunter and get to know him, you can't not talk to him. I mean, you just look at him and see him smiling and having a good time, and you do want to have that conversation. I mean, I remember the first time I met him, that I just had to know who he was.
He does have a magnetic personality, and sometimes he's a little bit standoffish, which just somehow or another that just like kindles the fire inside of people to want to get to know him that much more. Maybe he has an air of mystery about him.
Well, that's some very insightful stuff that I think parents that are out there wondering, and like I said, families and other viewers, maybe we got some medical people out there listening of things that, ideas we could be doing more with Down syndrome kids, get them more involved in the world. Speaking of getting more involved, I told people at the beginning of this podcast about Hunter had a growing business. Can you fill us in on this little something extra ice cream truck?
Absolutely. So we just celebrated our second anniversary of a little something extra ice cream truck. So as Hunter started approaching 14, 15 years old, I really started putting a lot of thought into what he would do as he got older. And we are located in North Alabama, and it's a very rural community. And while there are opportunities for people with intellectual disabilities, there are also limited opportunities. And I work a full-time job, and so does my husband. And so being able to transport him to any kind of program was going to be difficult for us. And so I started praying about possibilities of what we could do to help Hunter have a job opportunity, and not just an opportunity to work, but also an opportunity for him to invest his life in something that he would get up and look forward to every day, and something that the world could invest in Hunter in. And by the grace of God, he gave me the idea of a little something extra ice cream truck. And of course, the name of the truck plays off of the extra chromosome that causes Down syndrome. As Hunter said earlier, we carry 22 flavors in the truck, and it's prepackaged ice cream. We have the music just like the old-fashioned ice cream trucks. But the amazing thing about it is the design of the truck actually has young adults and children from our North Alabama area who have a variety of exceptionalities. They have Down syndrome is predominantly the pictures that are displayed on the truck, but also children with autism, and one child who had a brain tumor early in her life, and that caused some delays with her. But it's just a beautiful tool for advocacy and awareness.
That is something special there to hear and be able to know that you guys took the chance of getting out there and giving him that opportunity. And now I've been reading up on it and studying and seeing pictures, and there's so many other kids that are getting involved with him, coming and selling on the truck, and just being little helpers and volunteers. And I mean, it's amazing at the outreach that I keep seeing that's going on. So, and speaking of that outreach and what people are seeing, we alluded to it earlier in the podcast, but it's amazing. I'm reading stories from AL.com. I'm reading stories from magazines. I'm reading stories from other articles that I've seen online. I've seen it in the TV shows. I mean, it is just the publicity that he's getting from that thing and from his experience with a little something extra ice cream truck. Just tell a parent out there listening about something like that. I know you said earlier you were a little bit more excited than he was. So tell a parent, if they get into that world and all of a sudden their child starts getting a lot of attention, what it's like, how to handle it.
Well, I'm telling you what, it has absolutely snowballed. From the beginning of the ice cream truck, from the day we launched it, we had local media outlets doing stories. And then just through social media, other media outlets have picked up our story and called for interviews. And so it started with AL.com a few weeks ago, and then that went to the Associated Press. And I was contacted last week by a woman who had read our story in her local paper. And when I asked where, she was in California. So even local papers on the other side of the country are publishing stories about Hunter. And before all of this even happened, Hunter was just selected as one of 500 people in America who have Down syndrome to be displayed on Times Square on the Jumbotron to kick off Down Syndrome Awareness Month, which is October. And so I'm telling you what, he is probably one of the most publicized people I've ever known. And it has been wonderful. Of course, we try to protect him in many ways, but it's not gone to his head at all. He's like, wow, that's great. But he did get very excited about the Jumbotron.
So one of 500 Down syndrome children in America that he got chosen to do what he did. That's pretty neat accomplishment in itself, that he was picked out of the crowd like that. And so I know you said that it's, a lot of exposure and it kind of snowballed from there. But tell us a little bit, as we were asking earlier, about the parental side of it. Could you tell a parent how to handle all that if their child got all that exposure?
Well, I think with every parent, we dedicate our lives to making sure that our children have everything they want, and we try to do all that we can to help them succeed and have their dreams come true. And so it has taken a whole lot of elbow grease, if you will, on mine and Anthony's part. But it's slightly been overwhelming, but in a wonderful way. So the one thing that I want to express to parents, whether your child has Down syndrome or autism or is typically developing, is the possibilities for every single person is out of this world, and never, ever give up on your child. It's not been a matter of handling his stardom or the spotlight that he's been in. It's been more of, thank you, Lord. Thank you for letting me live to see that these dreams that every parent dreams for their child has come to fruition in Hunter, the child that they only prepared me for his setbacks when he was born. They only prepared me for the things that he wouldn't do. Not one doctor said, you know what, your boy's probably going to be on a Jumbotron in Times Square. Not one person said, you know what, your boy's probably going to be a CEO of his own ice cream truck one day, or of his own business, or he's going to be in Southern Living magazine and Parent magazine and have interviews from all the way in Paris or in England about him. So, I mean, it would be great if the Michelle from today could go back to the Michelle laying in that hospital bed worrying about our future. So it hasn't been a struggle at all as far as accepting what it has been, an humbling experience to say, you know what, Lord, you promised me that you would grant me the desires of my heart, and I'm seeing it firsthand.
That is just amazing how all this is coming together. One thing we want to touch on too before we get toward the end of this podcast here is we've also heard about, there's a book out there, a children's book that Hunter had going. And could you tell us a little bit about that book?
I sure can. So one of the characteristics that medical professionals look for in the diagnosis of Down syndrome is brush field spots. And most people are familiar with the eyes and the nose and different features that are common in a person who has Down syndrome. But brush field spots is not one of the more commonly advertised characteristics. But what they are is these little specks in their eye. It doesn't harm the vision at all. It just makes their eyes look like you're looking at them through a kaleidoscope. It looks like stars in his eyes. And so I wrote a book, dedicated it to Hunter. It was inspired by him, and it's called Stars in My Eyes. And on the back, it says, did you know a common characteristic of people with Down syndrome is a feature called brush field spots? The spots are present in the eyes of people who have Down syndrome, and they look so much like stars. While no one really knows why these stars are present, Hunter's mom believes they are there to serve as a reminder of the amazing things that can happen through the journey of Down syndrome. And so this book actually follows Hunter's life from the day he was born on through to his ice cream truck. And it has been pretty spectacular. One page says, "My mom says I have stars in my eyes to remind the world that I have hopes and dreams. She says the stars are common in the eyes of people with Down syndrome because we were made to shine just like the stars in the sky."
That's really cool how all that's come together, and dedicating the book toward him. And it's also got that hidden meaning in there that people need to know and understand about those special spots that you're talking about. I just think the whole story is special. I think it's an amazing thing that you and Hunter and your husband and Hope and your son have all put together and had this nice ride together. So tell us, as we wrap this thing up, what is the goals for Hunter in the next year to 5 years? Where do you see this thing going? Where's this ice cream truck and this book going?
So firsthand, we have seen with the truck, we have trained almost 24 young adults to work as ice cream experts in the truck. And so every spring we've had a training where these young adults, including Hunter, he goes through the training every year too, but they go through an ice cream expert training where they focus on product and customer service skills and inventory, and they do mock transactions. And at the end, each participant receives a certificate that declares them a certified ice cream expert. And then they get to graduate to pomp and circumstance. And then they receive a badge that has their name and their title as ice cream expert on it, and they receive a uniform. So having seen that, I've seen firsthand over and over just the joy that it brings to each one of these ice cream experts. And going in, when I knew that I couldn't keep this to ourselves, that we wanted to share it, I did have high expectations for our workers, but they have come in and blown me away. And I've also seen firsthand that through this ice cream truck, it can open doors, and so many doors, and put us in places where maybe Hunter might never have been able to go. He's been part of ball tournaments and vacation Bible schools, and gone in and served at big corporations and at hospitals where he's handed out ice cream to doctors and nurses. And it's just given him so many avenues to meet people and for us to advocate. And we don't want to keep this to ourselves. We want to expand, because this is an opportunity that can be and should be shared with so many other families. So that is one of our short-term goals, is to have this ice cream truck franchised so that we can share it with other families, not only here in Alabama, but in other states and across the country. So that is one of the big goals that we have. We've also been working on a partnership with Auburn University. They have the Eagles program, which is a program for intellectually disabled students. So this program is quite costly. And so through a partnership with the Eagles program, and also with another short-term goal, is that we will be selling at Auburn University, hopefully some exclusive ice cream pieces by the 2021 football season. So those are things that we hope to be able to share with this business very, very soon.
Now, when you say about franchising and you say about growing the business, how are we as people listening? How do we get involved? How do we get that franchise? How do we buy the ice cream?
Okay, so the franchise portion of it is still in the process, but we're working diligently to get that completed. But also, we are scheduling events. We have the truck, we have an ice cream cart that can be for indoor events. And so we can be contacted. We have a Facebook page. It's A Little Something Extra Ice Cream, and we can have direct messages sent straight from that Facebook page. We also have a website. It's also www.alittlesomethingextraicecream.com. And then we can also be reached via email at extraicecream@yahoo.com. So any of these avenues, people can reach out to us and ask questions or book events. We would love to schedule events. And then of course we will keep people posted as far as the franchise paperwork progresses.
All right, and the other one we want to cover too, just to make sure everybody knows how to do it. How do we get out there and buy one of those books?
All right, so the book is called Stars in My Eyes, and it is for sale on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Books A Million's websites. So any of those, or if you want to contact us, we have a limited number that we are also signing and mailing out. So any of the avenues that I just mentioned, Facebook, the website, or our email address, we can be contacted. And we, like I said, we have a few limited numbers. We've sold a good many of those already here, where we can personalize those and send those out as well.
That's pretty cool to have those two great businesses you got going there, especially the ice cream truck, to be able to reach so many other families and kids and folks out there that are really looking to get into something and expand this movement you got going on. So I think what we're going to try to wrap this thing up, and I always want to end with one last question that really makes us all think a little bit, and maybe let's kind of see what you're thinking. If it were to all, say this thing's over with in 10 years from now or 20 years from now, and they close the book on Hunter Norwood, what do you want that book? We've talked about that special stars in his eyes. What is the book of Hunter Norwood's life when they close that book? What do you want it to read?
I want it to read that there is so much ability in disability. And this journey of Down syndrome, it was so scary in the beginning, but I wish that I could have fast forwarded and saw how much beauty there is in this journey of Down syndrome. I think sometimes when parents get the diagnosis, me being one, I felt like it might be somewhat of a death sentence to the life that I knew. But what I want to shout from the rooftops is, it is not in any way a death sentence. It is a life sentence, a life that we have and human, that God graciously put into our family. I'm a better person because of Hunter. I'm a stronger person because of Hunter. And I realized when he was born, I kept thinking of all the things that I could do to help him be more like myself and all the other typical people in this world. But I think my focus was in the wrong direction. We all should be working to see what we could do to be more like Hunter and more like these other amazing people who have Down syndrome, because I truly believe that God puts these angels on this earth to make us all better. And so when any person, if they read the book of Hunter Norwood, when they close it, I hope they feel just like me and know that they've been blessed and their life is better because they were able to walk hand in hand with someone as special as Hunter.
I can't think of a better way to end the podcast. I mean, there's not much more you can say. Mom has summed it up and told us, exactly what Hunter's life's all about, what he's still currently doing, and when we do close that book one day, of how many lives he's going to be touched, how many he's already touched already, but I mean, how many more are to come with these franchises, and this is something that could just roll on forever and ever. So I want to kind of wrap this thing up and tell everybody out there listening, if you get the opportunity, please go out there and support a little something extra. Get to know these guys, get to know one of their franchises if you'd like it to come to town, and really just get to know maybe Down syndrome children in your area, because there's so much to offer out there that they've got maybe for your area. Maybe there's something else that a child in your area could do as far as a business. But anyway, I want to thank you, Miss Norwood and Hunter, for joining us today on the special Rolling with My Special Friends podcast. So thank you guys very much for the opportunity to interview you today.